Hello, everybody. This is James Diboe on Discovering on Big Condo Online, and we've discovered new things, and we've got a special guest in the house today, Curtis Holligan. How are you doing, brother?
What's happening? You good?
Good, good. Nice to have you on anyway. You know, we finally got you here, you know.
Nice one. That can be a bit hard to get hold of sometimes.
That's it, you know. Well, we're going to deal with your timeline on, you know, you're a musician. You started from, you've been doing this a long time, your music, isn't it?
Don't be telling everyone I'm old.
Okay. Well, you know, look well anyway. You know.
Nice one. Yeah,
How old was you when you first got into music?
I first started like properly when I was about, messing around, I'd say when I was about 13, 14.
13, 14.
Just messing with tapes, trying to record one tape onto another to make my own mixtapes and all that. And then, my mum couldn't afford decks or didn't want to buy decks because they were too expensive, and she didn't want it to be a passing phase. So I started MCing when I was like 15. First show I was about 16, something like that. 17, and then because I looked older,
Yeah.
the age, and then it's just carried on from there. Really, just been non-stop since pretty much.
So you've gone into, because I know you do drum and bass.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, you do different kinds of music. You was explaining to me about the indigenous beats as well.
Yeah.
If you could tell me a bit about that, because I thought that was very interesting about indigenous beats and that.
So I suppose I've always wondered where my obsession with jungle and drum and bass come from.
Right, yeah.
Obviously, it's, there's the hip hop and there's all the history dating back to, if you want to go back into funk to the funk days. So you know what I mean. It's all part and parcel and still a part of the same genre, but this genre. But I mean, I suppose I was just interested in where it came from and where my I wouldn't say an emotion, but where my energy came from within. I'm old still, and if someone puts a certain type of track on, I'll be fired up. Do you know what I mean? In a tribal sense, I suppose.
I know exactly what you're saying.
So I started investigating a little bit, and I was in uni at the time. So I was going to do my major project on the use of indigenous drumming patterns within Western music. So mainly drum and bass, but then also other genres. So I looked into it a little bit. I found it wasn't going to be as big as a project as I would have liked to have been, because I wanted to travel the world basically and go around to and sample different tribes' music, different drumming, do you know what I mean? And put it into an album, but then transfer their drumming into Western drum hits, which was a big project, and obviously the funding to get around the world to do it when you're a student, it wasn't really going to work, do you know what I mean? So I had to change that idea, but it did start investigating things a little bit more, and started sort of signing stuff that was a bit more based around indigenous drumming and the history in the drum patterns, do you know what I mean?
Well, one thing, I mean, I'm being around a lot of indigenous peoples around this world and that, and it's amazing when you see the indigenous cultures. I mean, seeing the Aboriginal Australians, you know, it's people out in Madagascar, people out Southeast Asia, indigenous peoples all over. And it's modern day, owes history, the people of the past, these have made everything happen, and I've met these people in rainforests. It doesn't matter where they are, I'll go 7-hour journeys, free buses, because it's just when you're into something, when it's your passion, you'll do anything to succeed in that. So I thought that was very interesting when you saying about indigenous beats, because that was originally our conversation on the phone. I was surprised you were there doing the indigenous beats and I was doing the indigenous tribes. So I thought it was a good connection for us to be able to have a talk and bring it on this show and that.
Nice one, man. Nice one for bringing me on.
Yeah, of course. But also as well, so have you done events before as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I've done independent events in Liverpool, like the Zanzibar back in the day.
Zanzibar, yeah.
There was a place further down Seal Street, which the name's gone now, which I've done a couple of things with Threshold Festival as well, and hosted a few bits with them. Still looking to put on events, but with the way things have been, it's not really been, you know what I mean? I haven't wanted to put anything.
Difficult right now.
Exactly.
I mean, you're right. I had to cancel my event with Renault Rashidi the second time in the Caribbean Centre.
Yeah.
You know, first one went great, and then unfortunately we had to cancel due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
But continue. You're saying?
But yeah, so I'm still looking to do some, to get some in, but mainly in Liverpool as well, and a couple of things in London that I'm trying to get sorted out as soon as there's a bit more clarity. I mean, they're saying it's all, you know, it's over. People can go and do what they want, but at the same time, I'm guessing it's going to be locked down again at the in winter.
Well, we can't predict, isn't there? So it's good for you to make plans and think ahead. And London seemed, you know, there's a lot going on down in London.
Yeah.
You know, especially for black people, you know.
Exactly, it's a different playing field for black people. I think in London. Definitely think Liverpool. Yeah, as you know, it can be quite a.
I think the culture's like, I don't know what it is, because like, I mean, from the time I'm born, and I remember like it was stronger when I was a lot younger, but I just see now it's a bit more like it's done differently. It's like it's to do with like, say, people who've interfered, and okay, you just settle for this, and also it's about it's a competing game as well with other races in hitting the one L8 area as well.
Yeah,
you know, definitely. As well. And unfortunately, Liverpool, it's so small, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's for me. It started. I mean, I was very young when the riots happened, but it started back then. Do you know what I mean? The pretty much getting rid of the black community in the area in one way or another, and it's just been continued. I think it got to a tipping point in the 90s. Do you know what I mean? Where a lot of people that myself and yourself knew and grew up with either went wild or went one way or the other.
One way, yeah, that's right.
Or moved away from the city. So I think it's just been a follow-on from that, and then obviously the systematic powers that be that have continued the same pressure. Do you know what I mean? And split the community. But I think as long as people are aware of it, and not just, I don't think awareness does nothing. Awareness just something you can raise an eyebrow to. But I mean, I think as long as people do something about it and start realizing that without our generation actually teaching our kids and starting to put some of these things back into play, whether it be small things like the Caribbean Centre or events or CICs like this, which are built around the culture of black people in Liverpool. But it's going to end up going to a museum and seeing about our culture in the slave days, and that'll be all that's left in Liverpool, I feel. Do you know what I mean?
Well, do you like us to hold on to slavery a lot, you see? Exactly. Because we're victim, and it's like when you get people going, look at other people, it's a big tourist attraction. Yeah. So when the tourist attraction, it's just like, we're a lot more than that, That's 400 years you're pointing out there. History go back hundreds of thousands with black people from Africa. Yeah, indigenous first people on the planet.
I mean, one of the things that I thought, and I've thought it for a while, is if the slave trade is still such a money puller in this city, why does none of that money, not even 1% of the money that people that come into the city for that type of tourism, how come none of that goes back into the community, and why not?
They don't want to give reparations.
Do you know what I mean? No, it's not even about reparation. Yeah. It's just about like it being cyclical a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, okay, you're gonna draw from the community and talk about it and put it in a museum and employ people within that museum.
Of course.
Money, but then there's no, So okay, so there's the representation of the slave trade. Where's the representation of the actual black community?
That's right.
Do you get what I mean? Surely they go hand in hand. That's otherwise, give it 20 years, you're not going to have any. Do you see what I mean? So I think that is for me. That falls on the museum as well. I think. Well,
if you look at a lot of black people who have to go to London to get a job, or they might go to Manchester to get a job. You'd have to leave your own city because there's a problem within this city. And that's another reasons why I've done this show. Because I'm just bringing who I am to light. That's all I was doing, because I've been into deep stuff for a long time. Then people finally said to me, you know what? You need to start getting your stuff out there now. Yeah. And that's what I started to do, because it's about, if you know, it's at the end of the day, I try and do things a positive way.
Yeah.
We've all been on that route of anger, but the anger's only going to get you so far unless you're going to turn that anger into something positive and a strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you can just be complaining and complaining all day and asking why this and why that.
Yeah.
But you've got to look in the mirror and play your part, because
100%.
I do see a lot of complaining, but it's about putting action into place.
It's true. It's like,
you know,
it's very true. You can't moan about a situation and do nothing about it.
That's right.
It's like,
yeah.
You know, we have been oppressed, and you know what I mean. Liverpool isn't the best place for a black person, but at the same time, there's black people within Liverpool who've thrived.
Yeah.
Because they've came from Liverpool.
Yeah.
Because they've had to come up through, you know, an overly oppressive, you know what I mean, city, which it still is. So
yeah.
It depends, as you say. It depends how you interpret your challenge, and whether you see it as a challenge. You know what I mean? Something that can be overcome, or something that's a handicap. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
That's it, really. Do you know what I mean? I think I think there's no handicaps. Do you know what I mean? In the world, unfortunately, you know, people have seen the wider world and gone out of the box. But
yeah,
I think at some point people will come back to Liverpool, and will, you know, the people who have grown up around here and, you know what I mean, have lived and thrived in and, you know, in the community.
Yeah.
Will come back, and I think maybe that's, you know, maybe that time's it's coming sooner than we think, you know.
That's right. Yeah. So also, you're on the board, the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So that's good anyway.
Nice one. Cheers.
You know, it's hopefully get that back up and running, and that'd be great.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive influence to me and to everyone else's childhood, I think, in Toxteth.
Yeah.
And outside of Liverpool, there's I've got friends in London who used to talk about the carnival and the Caribbean scent and people, you know, the events that used to go on. And I think, yeah, without at least that, there's not much left to go on. So I'm happy that I can maybe bring some of my experience with the label and with events and, you know, the management and stuff like that.
Good.
To the table a little bit. And obviously with the rest of the board, I think you know, we've got, if things go well with the council, which is what we were saying about the, you know, the some of the systematic issues, but if things go well with that, then I think it'll be a good future for the Caribbean.
Good, because this is the last place we got.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know, and this is what I mean. Like, Liverpool's suffering. It is lack of culture, but there's also a lack of identity as well with people and that. And you know, it's about, if you're not going to educate your child on your history, of course you want them to do good and get on in school. But if you don't educate them your culture, your history, it just gets lost so fast.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one thing for me. Like, I mean, I'm about, I got it passed down, so I'm gonna have to pass it down myself.
Yeah.
You know, it's knowledge, isn't it? You know of who you are, knowledge yourself.
I think your background's you've African background, aren't you?
Nigerian.
So Nigerian.
Yeah.
So, and I think I've got a Nigerian background, but also Caribbean background.
Oh, I've Caribbean as well. I've got the Trinidad in me from my mum's side, Trinidad, and Nigeria from my father's side. Yeah.
I think.
So I have both, just like yourself.
And I think that I think Liverpool, definitely in Liverpool, maybe not in other cities, but the disconnect between the Caribbean and the African communities.
Yeah,
is always been a thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's sort of, again, that sort of helped divide our own. You know what I mean?
That's very
divide our own.
That's right. That's right. That, I mean, because having both sides, you can kind of see both ways.
Yeah, there's different ways.
So at one time I was talking with Chase. One time I was on for Black History Month. I did a talk on Big Condo, and I was saying I gravitate more to me Nigerian than I do me Trinidad. And the reason why is because Trinidad, they're originally from Africa, and I can't pinpoint the exact country where they came from.
Yeah.
But I know that the Nigerian side, I can pinpoint the country, the village, you know, the tribe.
Yeah.
I can point to a lot more. So we're dealing with like a short history. It's like people who are from anywhere in the Caribbean or America, you know. So, but you can do all these DNA tests now, can't you? You can find out your tribe and, you know. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's about, I'm about what's positive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to, there's things that make you angry. We can get angry every day, especially when you turn on the TV.
Do you think would you just saying then about chasing back your DNA and stuff like that? Obviously, my second name's a Bayesian name.
Okay.
From Barbados. So a couple of years ago, I always thought that it was just my dad and his brother. There was no one else. My granddad and maybe his brother.
Yeah.
Found out years later that my granddad had like 12 brothers.
Wow.
So those 12 brothers then had like 12 kids each. Like massive family in Barbados, or
wow, big
on
family.
Facebook, Holligan Nation. I'm like, Holligan, what? No, this is a madness. So I'm looking through, and yet there's hundreds, thousands apparently of Holligans that all go trace back to Barbados, to the same family.
Same family.
So I then looked into it and was thinking about it, and I thought, well, how have we ended up with the name Holligan? Do you get what I mean? Surely that means we've in some way took on some slave trader's name.
That's right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
When you were saying about about identity and that, and certain, how I suppose, how is a black person supposed to feel when you've got a name that does date back to slave traders' days, and then you start looking at. I looked into it, and it dated, it looked back to a Scottish clan. Do you see what I mean? So I can see how it's hard then to look into your history, because it becomes painful.
Yeah.
It becomes something like you know what I mean? Where does it go from there then? You get what I mean?
I get it, yeah. Well, yeah, at the end of the day, it's dealing with the motherland, isn't it? And
yeah, exactly.
It can be difficult. It depends how much you want to know yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And your history. I mean, I'm one of them type of people, I go really far lengths, me. I go to other part of the rainforest, the other part of the world. It doesn't matter if I need to find out something. But yeah, though, I was back on to the music anyway. So, what's the last project you were working on?
The last one for myself was a tune I produced called Fall, which was a little bit political. It's got an old sample from I think it was a Rockers. Talking about Babylon Shall Fall, and it's not Rockers. It's another one. It'll come to me. But that was the last project, drum and bass track, and then the next one up I've got a track called Black Mirror, which is, I suppose it's about social media and some of the issues that are coming from it, some of the issues within society, I suppose, which is, I think this last year's brought up a lot of the issues that are in the track. And then just working on the record label quite a lot. I've got quite a big feature coming up with one of the artists on that. But yeah, just pushing as hard as I can really on that. Yeah.
Do you want to give your social media?
Yeah.
If you want to, it's up to yourself.
So you can follow me on MC Sass on Instagram, and follow the record label at Sleepless Records.
Okay.
UK.
Yeah. Thanks for that. Anyway. So anyway. Also, these live events, you like live events, doing live, don't you?
Yeah.
You were saying you preferred it than going to the studio.
Yeah.
Tell me, like, what's the feeling of the live event that you prefer? Is it the energy?
I think you get a different type of adrenaline with an energy.
Yeah.
Sorry, a different type of energy.
Yeah.
Fueled adrenaline on stage than you do in a studio. You still obviously get your adrenaline in a studio, but it's a different vibe. It's the sound level alone. Being surrounded by a wall of sound and being in them, it feels like you're more in the moment than you are in a studio. So
yeah. What's the biggest crowd you're performing in front of? Like the numbers, would you say?
Probably about 8,000-9,000 maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Creamfields.
Creamfields, yeah.
Yeah. That was done it twice, in 2008 and 2009.
Yeah.
It was busy around then. I've done Creamfields twice. Then I was doing like Fabric in London.
Right.
I've been going to Austria for the last 20 years or so, doing shows over there.
Good.
The last show over there was probably the best.
Yeah.
The best show I've felt. It was the best event.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, some of the other stuff you were telling me before that you've been involved in. You were on an episode of was it something?
So I was working. So going back to about 2012, I ran a recording studio in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And work with a lot of artists, even Breezy himself as well. Back in the day, Jade, just loads of people. So from that, I done like BBC introduction, but I've also done a bit of sound design for a couple of episodes. Well, 2 seasons. One was Clink on Channel 5.
Clink.
And what was the other one? What did I say it was? Moving on.
Season 10, yeah. Season 10.
Season 10. That was a couple of years ago with LA Productions. So
okay.
Sort of learned a different trade along the way, just out of determination, I think.
So was you playing a role in it?
No, sound.
The sound.
Sound, yeah.
Right,
sound
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good anyway. Getting out, man.
So, yeah, I mean, it's one of them things. Yeah. I think, again, in Liverpool, it comes down to resources. There wasn't many studios around. There's nowhere to record and to do your own thing. So you just learn and do it. And if there's not there, then create it. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. Also, we always deal with the importance of African history, as always, and that, And just back to what we were saying before about with the music and that, how important is it for people to know African history? Would you say, Curtis?
I think it'd be in pretty much,
including Caribbean, America. All of us, even.
Yeah, I think it's we in one of the things that I suppose I'll refer to, which sort of explains a little bit, is like back in, back before the days of the proletariat and the bourgeoisie.
Yeah,
there wasn't music. Do you know what I mean? The only music was folk music.
That's right.
Do you see what I mean? So where does folk music comes from? It comes from indigenous people.
Okay.
Whether that be in England, Ireland, not England, but Ireland.
Right.
You know what I mean? All the different indigenous people who lived from, you know what I mean, from all around the world. That's where original music comes from. And obviously, Africa is the motherland of all. So
that's right.
If I think if you don't know and you don't look into the influence in African music within today's music, and as a musician especially, I think you're at a disadvantage really, because you're not going to the source.
That's right. And as a musician yourself, spirituality, when you get really deep into your music, it's like you're connecting spiritually.
Yeah.
And that's something that our ancestors were aware of.
Yeah.
Different sounds of the drum, different meaning, vibrations.
Exactly.
And he knew, it's going to be a bit of a dangerous night tonight. It's like predicting by the vibration it's giving you.
Yeah.
I remember when I was in Sri Lanka, and I was staying with a family out there, and they were saying that they like to walk around barefooted so they can feel the vibrations on the floor. In the house, that's what I mean. They like to feel the vibrations.
Yeah.
These are just things that people knew for thousands of years.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. I mean, I'm about trying to learn. I love speaking about spirituality and learn about different people's spirituality.
Yeah.
Because it's all oneness, even though one person could be a bit different. It's all one thing. Religion's a whole nother thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Set of rules, a set of principles, and so.
For me, religion's a mindset. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
It's as you said, it's a set of rules and it's an ideology and a way of thinking.
Yeah.
I think, it's not. It doesn't exist for me. It doesn't exist within indigenous tribes. It never did. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
And it was all about vibes, as you said,
nature.
That's it. And, you know what I mean? And I think
oneness.
That's I think that's what a lot of people have lost the way on.
Definitely.
And I think that sometimes you only really. It's hard. I think it's hard to understand how close that is until you've been around the world and probably done the things that you've done.
Yeah.
A lot more of a greater understanding than that than a lot of people could have. Do you know what I mean? Could be living and growing up within.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Within a city. And
well, it's what it is with me as well. It went that deep where when I was in particular countries like Malaysia and Philippines and was the other one, Thailand, a lot of the people from there didn't know who the indigenous people were. So when I was in Malaysia, I was trying to find, where can I find these tribes, these indigenous black people of Asia? And no one had any information. I had to, finally I found one person who add some information. Then I was able to get there. And these are like 5 hour, 6 hour drives straight to the rainforest. And then when you see them, it's just that feeling's like, well, I was over there before in in the same country, and I'm over here now. And this is two different kind of people, different kind of culture. And I just thought that was amazing. Like, and if you look in the eyes of them, it's like this secret that they know. You know, it's like, and then that's where they connect to them spiritually.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I mean, these places have got tigers in them, snakes in them. But I didn't care. We were walking on the longest canopy in the world. It was 135 feet high and about 500 meters long. And it was unbelievable. But it was just all about that connection.
Yeah.
He said, "You're not a man until you walk on this."
I can hear that, definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So with indigenous peoples, it's so interesting because a lot of people owe these indigenous peoples. People in India, you've got like we were talking before, you've got indigenous black people of India, the oldest people, and they would have started the Indus Valley civilization culture off.
Yeah.
Then you could even go to China. There was a black presence in China thousands of years ago, and they started the Shang dynasty. So all these other people later on have kind of gravitated towards what we've done, you know, because we brought our civilization not just in Africa, around the world.
Yeah.
And you can see African culture all over the world still.
Yeah, yeah.
But people don't really get onto it. But a lot of things come from the idea of black people.
Yeah.
You know.
It. It's just, as I say, it's a systematic whitewash, isn't it? Of all history, that whether it's Asian, black, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like the caste system in India. Like,
exactly.
You know, that goes back there.
Yeah, exactly. The Native Americans.
Do you know what
I mean? It's just been a systematic, you know, whitewash of any culture, and if it doesn't fit within the ideology of the Western world, have you read Edward Said?
Edward Said?
Yeah.
Wait.
Sorry, Edward's. It looks like it's Edward Said, but Edward Said.
Edward Said
Talks about. He writes a book about how. What's the term that he uses is Orientalism.
Orientalism, okay.
And it's basically how the West has portrayed the East, and how it's when you read a little bit into what he's saying, it's so hard to unsee what he's suggested.
Okay,
but it's just basically the it's something I'd definitely say to have a little look at, have a little read of.
Well, I kind of get what you're saying, I mean, because the West has like come up with all these names. You'd have, for example, you say Caucasoid if you're describing white European people. They say Negroid, Africans, and whatever we are, and then they have Australoid, people in Australia, Papua New Guinea, Melanesia, and then they come with Mongoloid, the Chinese, Koreans, but then you got people in Malaysia. They're like a mixture of like the Mongoloid and obviously the indigenous Aboriginal people, the black folks. That's why you see Malays look kind of a bit black, a bit this, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it goes way deep though, when you check out history, because a lot of people like don't actually know their history. I found, like, not just us.
Yeah.
It's more of a crime with us when we don't know ours. But other people, they do not know the history.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, and I'll explain why, every person on this planet race has to look at us to understand them. Yeah. Because if you come from us, then we're the past, the present, and we will definitely be the future. you know,
100%.
That's it, you know. Yeah. But I do a lot of things to end these racist stereotypes out. You know, a lot of like, oh, you're only slaves, or do you have, you know, you talk about people in Africa that are all poor. I'm seeing a lot of rich Africans, you know, and people like to own land. Land's a big thing. Land's not a big thing in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's one of the main things that they want to do. Yeah. And like, you know, I appreciate you coming here today and you know, sharing what you're doing. That's about telling your stories.
Yeah, nice one for having me on. Honestly, much appreciated.
Yeah, no, I'm really doing that, you know. And if you've got anything else you want to add on, any future events or anything to do with your music or whatever you want to promote.
No, I suppose just going out to the community that, you know, that listen to the podcast and the wider community. about getting behind the Caribbean Centre, I suppose, and just trying to get down there and get, you know, supporters in any way that you can. Obviously, times have been a little bit harder with COVID, but yeah, there's some good things coming for the centre, so stay tuned on that side of things, really.
Nah, that's great anyway, though, but I really appreciate having you on anyway, Curtis.
Nice one, man. Nice
you know,
one.
And this is James Diboe on Discovering. I'm your host, and we're out of here for today, but thank you all. Peace, Curtis.
Nice one, bro. Cheers.